Yo, 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 people. It's a new episode of Sausage Party. We've got a new face. It's my boy's big bro, Alec Lowi. I'll let you introduce your mans.
Oh, well, yeah, like you said, this is my older brother, Alec. What are you going to be, 24 in a couple more weeks?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Swole 2.0, as I like to call him. Yeah, all the way out in California. We're all in different states right now. I just realized that. But yeah, so I think we wanted to have you on, I think, as sort of kind of a different transition from what our usual shenanigans are on this show. So we kind of wanted to go into detail, I guess. Obviously, I mean, maybe some people who watch this will know about your whole journey with your addiction and all that. So within our time slot, we obviously can't go into full detail with everything, because I mean it would take hours and hours to really cover everything. But I think what me and Casey kind of wanted to have you highlight on was basically just like sort of like maybe like give us a few stories, or like kind of maybe give us sort of like maybe a beginning and a middle and an end, if that sounds kind of weird, but like maybe like a main, like when did it first occur to you that you were an alcoholic or an addict, I guess you can say? Like, when did that really start for you? Like how early of an age was it for you? Do you think you can like kind of go into that? Like, how early was it? I mean, was it like 8 years old, or was it like 19, or what was it for you?
Well, I can definitely kind of go through the beginning and the middle parts and the end and kind of to now. But it's funny because I think today is actually the National Mental Health Day, which is
I don't know that.
Yeah. So pretty funny how we're talking about this today.
Well, perfect.
Yeah.
Find it out.
Well, so I mean, I don't know. For me, in high school, it's kind of when I talk about my story particularly, I generally start from like, I don't know, middle school, because there are a lot of key things for me that started to come up in middle school that kind of spoke a lot of alcoholism and addiction for me before I even started using drugs and alcohol, right? So like, in middle school was kind of the first time I started just rebelling, I guess, and feeling like this great amount of rush from doing things that I was doing. So that was like, sneaking out of the house, going to see girls when I wasn't supposed to, stealing from grocery stores and 7-Elevens and shit like that, and just like really minor things at an early age, 12, 13. And I started kind of learning like that I could get away with things if I just lied. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
That was dangerous for me, especially because of the path that I was headed. But I don't know. For me, I didn't start drinking or smoking weed till I was like 14. And then when I started doing that, I was like early sophomore year, so like 14. Everybody, I mean, I feel like at our high school was a lot of people. So I don't want to say I was peer pressured, because I was not peer pressured. It was entirely my decision to do it. I was always extremely curious about, I don't know, drinking and smoking and all that kind of stuff. But when I started doing it, it was like the only thing that I could think about. You know what I mean? It was weird. I had a different reaction than like other kids in my grade. And other kids I hung out with and played baseball with and stuff, you know, like it's not like right when I started drinking and smoking, it's like I just went off the deep end and started doing it every day. It wasn't really like that. I was, you know, drinking maybe once a month and smoking maybe once a month. And, but the thing is like the difference between me and like the other people that I was around was just that when I did it once, I just couldn't stop thinking about it until I could do it again, you know? And that was kind of the mindset that I had.
You, because I've been to one of your sort of like not speeches, but like talks, and I can't remember whether you're saying what makes it, what kind of, you're kind of a not special, but like unique case, because you weren't, I guess, or maybe you can correct me, you weren't necessarily self-medicating like most addicts do, like with certain like maybe like someone who has PTSD, or you know, or is going through, you know, they're in a really crappy household or stuff like that. It was more so just mainly because you liked the way it made you feel.
Yeah. I mean,
maybe there's some other factors I just I didn't really know about.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right when you say that. Like, you know, there was really no, because you're right. I do say this all the time, but you know, if you look at my childhood and the way I was raised, obviously there's no reason why there should be any self-medicating going on there. I didn't struggle with mental health issues. I didn't struggle with, you know, post-traumatic stress disorder. There was no particular traumatizing event that happened to me. I wasn't raised in a, you know, broken home or anything like that. It was just, I just love the way the shit make me feel, man. That's all I can tell, you know, like,
yeah.
I don't, even today, dude, I don't really try to analyze it. I don't really give a shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Cause
it's,
you know, when I look back, it's like, it doesn't matter, because ultimately, you know, I did what I did, you know?
And everything started to ramp up. Was it like later in high school, like the time when you stole my smoke bombs and lit it at the trash can at the mall? I'm sure there's a million other like, you know, scenarios, but I know for whatever reason your memory is terrible, which is really unfortunate, because I really want to you know, we could have like 5 seasons of like 30 episodes of just stories that you have.
Yeah,
memories,
I mean,
but
I have a lot of funny stories, you know, from those times. When I was at the PV mall, I was actually right when I first started driving.
yeah.
You know, I mean, dude, the first time I was such a delinquent, man. The first time I was like, I got my license and like was able to take off in a car from the house. I just remember going to pick up friends and just going straight to, like, you know, the grocery store or whatever, and just buying, you know, a 60 pack of eggs and just throwing them at whatever we could throw them at, you know, bikers, cars,
Bikers? Wait,
all kinds of things like that.
you threw that like cyclists?
Yeah. It was funny because there was one time when I was with one of my friends, and we just like, I was driving and my friend was in the passenger seat, and I had 2 other friends in the back seat, and like we probably threw like 6 eggs at this guy on the side of the road biking, and my friend who was in the passenger seat, his girlfriend's dad like came home and was all pissed off because he got hit by a bunch of eggs on the side of the street when he was at her house later that day. which was funny because he was in my car and was the one
Oh
that
my
did it,
God,
right? So
dude. Yeah.
it was funny. It's a small world up on that hill, man. It really is.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Seriously.
But yeah, I got in a
Go
lot
ahead.
of trouble though for for the firework incident at the mall. I got in trouble for that.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, the
I
police
wasn't
came over to
even.
the house and all that.
Yeah, I was just glad there's justice was served for stealing my fireworks, but.
So I mean, do you accredit like most of that to just coinciding with what was going on with like your experience with alcohol and weed and stuff like that? Would you say it's like curiosity, or at any point did you feel like drinking was like doing something for you that other things in life should have been doing, and then that's when you thought, I need a hard reset and kind of get away from this?
Yeah, that's actually a really good point to bring up, because alcohol and weed at the time did for me that other things in life couldn't do, right? So I was always one of those kids that just like was looking for a rush. I wanted to just do dangerous things all the time and just walk on the thin line of the law and just do all kinds of things and try to get away with it. Like if I could do something like either vandalize, steal, assault someone or anything like that and get away with it, then I was going to do it, and that's just it definitely did coincide with the alcohol and the drugs. But, that was, I feel like, earlier on. I mean, the behavior definitely continued. It went hand in hand. I mean, when my senior year of high school, I was drinking probably 3 to 4 times a week and smoking every day. So that's kind of when it started to turn the notch up a little bit. But I thought it was normal because everyone of my friends and who I hung out with was doing it as much as I did. So
yeah,
I thought it was completely normal.
I don't think that was concerning at all. At least, I mean, if you're to look at it from a third person perspective, looking at you and like PV in general, like the school in general and everyone, all the students there, like that's pretty normal. So
I feel like the two regions have a lot to do with it. Like Costa isn't exactly like PV, but they're pretty, like Manhattan Beach is pretty damn close, pretty damn similar. I feel like accessibility has a lot to do with like what's going on with kids in their lives and what they're doing, the choices they're making and stuff like that. But I mean,
for real.
That's actually a super interesting thing to think about. I mean, because I don't know, I was pretty scared of weed for a long time, and then I just I went pretty cray for a while, and I think maybe like junior senior year, like I guess I'm just gonna put it out there. I think it was when we were playing Santa Monica. I had like smoked before a game, and like I was on the field, dude. I was on the field. We lost to Santa Monica High School in lacrosse, and I was like,
"Oh my God, dude!
I should probably
Santa Monica."
I feel like the fact that
trash.
was like, I know the fact that was the point. I was like, there's a point where I caught the ball and I was just sitting there for like a solid 10-15 seconds, just stuck. And I was like, yeah, I need to relax. I need to chill out.
Dude.
But like watching how everybody kind of develops with this stuff and how they, go with it. And kids in college now, even people our age, like we could name names. Obviously we shouldn't, but like there's like people that were like totally different kids when we were in high school and now are in like a pretty dark place in college.
Oh yeah.
And it's like sad, but a lot of times seeing them get out of that hole is like some of the most inspiring things to like watch. So
yeah, for sure. And that's like kind of why I wanted to have Alec on, was because he's pretty, I mean, yeah, he's my brother, so it's going to sound biased, but I mean, he is a pretty exceptional case because, I mean, he's so young. Yeah. Like, I mean, I feel like if he was on a normal path, I feel like he would have gotten his shit together like you know, in his 30s or something. You know, I feel, you know, I don't know how like general the trajectory is for usual, like, you know, alcoholics and stuff, but I feel like it's a much slower process, or it goes even that, yeah, and or it goes just deeper and, you know, further down, you know, into hell
Right.
than he did. At least,
Yeah.
you know, I don't, because I mean, you worked at a center, at a rehab center, right? You did there.
I actually
so
do
like,
still currently.
okay, yeah. So, I mean, you've probably run into. I mean, what's the majority? Like, is like of the
Yeah.
people there? Are they're probably on the older side? I would assume, older than you.
Yeah. Yeah. When I first started working, I you know, obviously I went to school for I want to say about a year, and it took me another 3 to 6 months to do an internship and get the amount of hours and that I needed, and take the state exam and get certified. So it did take a while, but by the time I was done getting my certification through the state as a drug and alcohol counselor, I was 20 years old. I had just turned 20. So when I got hired at a facility to be a case manager and a counselor, and I was the youngest person there. Everybody, all of my clients and everybody that I worked with was significantly older than me, but it wasn't really a problem. I never had any issues with my age. No one really, I mean, people would ask me all the time, and I would usually just either brush it off or put it back on them and say, you know, why are you 29 and in a place where we need to wake you up and give you a bedtime and take your phone and give you rules like a child? You know what I mean? So why do you give a shit about how old I am? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I mean, most people probably thought you're freaking a lot older than you were, because I feel like it was that time when like you were like, I mean, it's not like you're not on your program now, but like you're fresh in the, you know, you're on your, you know, journey to recovery. So like you were in that sort of robotic, sort of serious state, I think. And I feel like that just made you so much,
yeah.
seem so much like older and more intimidating. So I felt like that must have been pretty effective.
Yeah, there's definitely a switch for me that I can, you know, turn on, I guess, where it's,
yeah,
you know, I can be myself and be, you know, fun and, you know, happy go lucky and just do a bunch of stupid shit and, you know, talk shit to people and just hang out with my friends and stuff like that. There's that side of me. And then there's another side where when I'm at work, I feel like it's a completely different person. It has to be that way, I think, because, you know, it's a very serious issue that we deal with, at least in my line of work. And we can't, it's not something that can be really taken lightly. So I just try to do that, you know?
Yeah. This is kind of a sidetrack note. I just thought about it because I just watched The Social Dilemma on Netflix. I don't know if you guys know, familiar with
Facebook
it.
movie?
No, that's different. The Social Dilemma is a new one. It's a new documentary just on social media in general. It's not just Facebook. And they're kind of touching on how like social media, like the algorithms and all that, how they're able to like, you know, manipulate you and control you and kind of get you addicted. And I was going to ask you is like, do you think nowadays with all the social media and stuff, do you think that could be as like damaging as like substance abuse? Like, do you think like these digital, you know, social media platforms and stuff like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, do you think any of that could have like, could that be quantified like on a level as like, you know, your average substance abuse, I guess you could say?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. If you think about the human condition and what we as humans kind of gravitate towards is certain forms of outside validation. So you have all kinds of different social media platforms out nowadays that people use in order to fuel our need for outside validation from other people. And with all these certain social media platforms, you have all kinds of different forms of ways to get that self-validation and that outside sense of self-worth. So you have, you know, pictures that you can post and you get a certain amount of likes, or you post a video and you get a certain amount of views or people commenting on it, or, you know, you have people follow you and all these kinds of things. And you have this platform that's basically centered around you and the content that you put out there in the world, right? So you have kids that are 13, 14, 15 years old who are at the stage of their life of development. I don't know if you guys know anything about Erickson's stage of development, but that's a period of time where, yeah, so it's a more of a psychology thing. But you have people who are in their early teen years who are still figuring out who they are as individuals, and people who are still kind of learning about themselves. And when you're at that age, you're figuring out your place in the world, right? So
is that the time when like your personality is getting sort of, is that like when you start figuring out your personality starts to become like starts to develop through like outside influences and stuff?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Or is that different?
That's actually a little bit earlier on, I would say. But
okay, yeah.
So like say, you know, ages 12 to 15 or 13 to 15 is that age where people are, you know, discovering themselves, right? So when you have all these social media platforms out that are basically fueling outside sources of self-validation, you have, I mean, what's the age group of the majority of people using TikTok? I mean, it's freaking 13 to 18, right?
Yeah.
So you have all these kids using that social media platform who are getting their need for outside validation fed. That's why that platform is so addicting for people, is because it literally takes you 5 minutes to make a TikTok video, and once you make it, you put it out and people give you the validation that you need and things like that, and you rely on that. So now people are starting to rely on this thing more, I think, and when they get into later ages, I think kids nowadays are going to be I'm not going to say they're in trouble, but I'm just saying, you know, it's a very dangerous way to feed our younger generation nowadays, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay.
So is that would that be part of that switch that you talk about flipping? Like, because I know, I mean, we obviously, Austin and I both follow your Instagram and your extreme lifting campaign, and it's something that I see now that I've heard you like talk just now about that. I think that I feel like part of your switch is being able to self-validate, and I feel like those posts that you have are kind of like a progress and milestones for yourself, and then you could kind of look at them and say, yeah, that's what I wanted to do, that's where I want to be, that's where I'm going, and you kind of create that own atmosphere where you can build yourself up, as opposed to, like you said, looking outwards for other affirmation or whatever from everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody does it, man. I don't think it really matters how old you are. You know, we use social media obviously to connect with other people, but the truth is the majority of us use it for validation, I think. And I definitely have, I mean, I definitely have experience with that myself, but what's pretty cool as well is if you look at the positive side of things and what we do, at least, you know, like what Austin and I do in fitness and things like that. It's pretty cool how much you can actually motivate people too. It may not just be about you or about Alec or about Austin or about Casey. It can just be about motivating other people sometimes. And if I post a video, it's pretty interesting, you know, when the amount of people I have asking questions about, you know, how to do this or how to do that with lifting, or things like that, or advice to give and stuff. And I think it can be motivating. I think it can be still a very positive thing as well.
Sure, for sure. That's another thing I wanted to touch on is like, there is, I think, a moment in time, and I know, and I can remember it went as far back as when you were living in, I can't remember what you call it, but you're in a house or an apartment or something with like a huge group of guys.
Oh, like a
somewhere.
sober living?
I think it was a sober living. You're still
Yeah.
in sober living, I think.
Yeah.
And you had gotten back into lifting.
Yeah.
You had to have been like how old were you when you were still, or like kind of coming towards the end of your sober living? 19, 20?
Yeah, I was 19. Yeah, I was 19 when I got out of sober living, because I was about 7 or 8 months sober at the time, and I got sober in February. Yeah, so that was.
And that's kind of when you just started kind of picking up lifting again, because I know you lifted, in high school and stuff, but you kind of stopped.
Yeah.
And because of everything that happened, and then so it was around 19. Like, do you think that had anything to do with like your recovery at all? Like, do you think like that was, I wouldn't say like some, some guys are like, yeah, the gym saved my life kind of thing. Like, I don't think, maybe it's different, but like, I don't think you would say that for yourself. But was it just something that, like, is lifting like your new addiction, I guess you can say? Like, I don't think you're addicted to lifting. You don't show any signs of like exercise.
No,
I've studied exercise addiction a little bit in one of my exercise psych classes back a couple semesters ago, and you don't really fit it at all. But I mean, there's still, I'm sure some sort of stimulation or whatever you want to call it behind it, right? Like, I guess you can count it as your new like addiction, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I would definitely say so. I mean, when we talk about addiction, it's important to remember too that when we talk about addiction is something that we have. It's a habit that we've started that we simply can't stop with our own will, that has a serious dramatic effect on our life and our relationships with other people in a negative way.
Okay.
So
okay.
Right. So
not an addiction.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely up there, because I mean,
yeah,
I don't think it's been years since I've spent longer than a week out of the gym. So, regardless of where I go, or, if I travel or if I go somewhere, I mean, I'm always looking for where a gym is, even if I'm not at my gym. It's hard to stay out of there for sure. But I guess to answer your question, before I started the whole thing when I was about 19, and you're right, I have been lifting pretty much my entire life, ever since I was 13, and started lifting for baseball and stuff. But I didn't actually start like lifting as like a primary like activity until I was done playing baseball, when I came home from New York and got sober. So I was about 19 years old, and it didn't start out as something like, oh, I'm going to start getting into powerlifting. I'm going to, get as strong as I possibly can be. It's not how it started. It started as kind of just something that I enjoyed doing, and something that I wanted to do to, I guess, better myself and you know, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
just been something that I've had my whole life. But then, you know, when I got to about 21 years old, I started, you know, getting stronger and stuff, and noticing that I could probably actually go somewhere with it. So I started kind of getting more serious with it. I stopped skateboarding so much and started kind of focusing on, because you know, we remember I've pretty much skated my whole life too. So
Yeah, exactly. That was my next question, is like, when did you realize, like, okay, I want to start legit powerlifting? Because I know, you know, one of your buddies now, one of your friends, kind of approached you one day, I guess, and sort of invited you to go train at the gym you work out at now, right?
yeah.
Was that sort of the time, or was it a little before that? Like, do you think, you know,
I mean,
it might...
yeah, when I was 19, I was about 180, 185 pounds, and like just very I was very
For everyone out there, he's like 6'2", 6'3" with shoes on.
yeah, I was about 180 pounds, and that was kind of when I first started lifting and eating a lot. But like, I started deciding to get serious with it a couple years before that. But then, like, the incident you're talking about, that was actually earlier this year, when all the gyms shut down, or when the gyms were shutting down.
Yeah.
I went and hit up a UFC gym because the 24-hour fitness shut down, but the UFC gym was open for a couple days longer. So I started going there, and I ran into some people at that gym I'm still very good friends with today. And I was just squatting, and one of my, you know, they came up to me and they were like, you know, they came up to me and introduced themselves and told me, you know, where they worked out at, and where they're, you know, they told me, you know, you got to come work out here because they're going to stay open through the pandemic. It's a private gym, and stuff like that. So, you know, they were giving me shit for my, I guess, recreational gym equipment. I had the Velcro belt and the Harbinger sleeves and wraps and things like that, and just kind of, you know. But I was strong, so they told me, you know, let's come work out with us and, you know, see how you like it, I guess. And I haven't gone back since.
Hell yeah. You plan
I
on...
want to piggyback off of... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I wanted to piggyback off of what Austin was saying about, I guess, your rebranded look on lifting now. But we are running short on time, so we're gonna run back for part 2. I don't know if you guys are cool with that, but I have some more questions for you if you don't mind me picking your brain. So we'll do that. We'll see you guys for part 2 shortly.